Hey, this is Kelly Shaefer from Atheist, and you are watching Army of One TV. Watch it. Hey, this is Kelly from Atheist. We're in New York City, in East Manhattan at the Le Poussin Rouge for our show tonight on the Genocidal Tendencies Tour with Cattle Decapitation, Vitriol, Author and Punisher. It's a sick bill, and it's going to be a great show tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, in the beginning, Florida was, probably like just any other town. It just so happened that a band called Nasty Savage was, and it was Savatage and Nasty Savage were two bands that kind of showed all the younger bands that making original music was really important and not playing cover songs. And I mean, that's how it felt to me anyway. And there was a couple of clubs in Tampa, one called the Sunset Club. There was another place called the Volley Club, and they were putting on these shows, and it was just a different type of crowd than a normal rock show. So it was the early stages of what we now know as extreme metal, and you had Obituary, Morbid Angel, Atheist, Malevolent Creation, Monstrosity. There's this plethora of talent in this one sort of area of Florida. So, but again, when you're in it, you don't realize it. You just kind of, you're just making music and trying to play shows, and much like what happened in Seattle. I mean, that was kind of what happened in Tampa. Was the shows were killer, the bands were great, and everybody was sort of moving in the same direction, and it ended up creating a wave. We were always sort of the outcast of the Tampa death metal scene, because we, anybody that's familiar with our music knows that we push boundaries and push time changes, and we were really into sort of jazz and complicated music as well as brutality. So we were one of the first bands, if not the first, to really combine jazz fusion and extreme metal. And that was Atheist, and it took a while for people to kind of understand it, So they were more able to understand bands like Obituary and Morbid Angel right out of the gate. So they had more success. It took a few years for us to get going, it actually took 17 years for people to kind of fully understand. When we came back in 2006 is when I feel like the musical landscape was better for us. People were able to understand what it was we were doing in 1988, 89, Starting with Piece of Time, that was our first record. We were excited just to be making a record, to be in a studio, all the things that you get excited about when you're making your first record. And limited budget, pushed for time, but it created this, an energy, because when you're pushing, much like songwriting under pressure, recording under pressure, I think, makes diamonds. I think that it makes, much better songs and recordings. So moving on into Unquestionable Presence, we didn't have a whole lot more time, but we had, a much better idea of what kind of band we wanted to be. And so, we had these songs, they were well rehearsed and ready to go, so we were able to get in and spend 2 weeks instead of 1 week on that album. And then that, at the end of that tour cycle, we were just feeling so sort of misunderstood that our drummer Steve was just like, man, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to dip out. And I was like, fuck. So I thought that was the end of it. And in actuality, far from the end, it was just the end of a chapter. And we ended up, I put together a new band called Neurotica, which was a rock band, completely different than Atheist. And I was in the middle of recording that, and I got a call that said, hey, you need a new Atheist record in the next 40 days. And so I was like, I don't even have a band right now. So I reached out. I had just seen this guitar player back where I live who was playing in this band called Gentleman Death, and he was amazing. And I knew he would be a great guy that I could work with to write. And I called him up and I said, hey, get ready, I'll be home in a few days. And so we literally wrote and recorded that entire record in 40 days. And so that was a huge different, the process was entirely different than the other two records. But again, that pressure created elements, and which is a completely different record than, actually each one of our records are different from each other. So yeah, so that was the progressions are different, and the processes were different. But yeah, proud of all of them though. They're all my children. And then nothing until 2006 is when we got back together and basically just put the, reissued the records and found that there was this, huge fan base that we didn't know about, of people that had discovered our records from the internet, I guess. And so it created all these new possibilities for us, including Wacken, Hellfest, all these major festivals. And that's all it was for us, really, in the beginning was, there was never even talk of a new album. There was offers, but we were just, we didn't want to mess with the formula. And there's always a chance when you take a long break from your band that maybe you're not going to recapture that lightning in a bottle, so to speak. And so we played a bunch of shows, and we were having fun. And finally, an offer came through from Season of Mist that was pretty hard to ignore. And so we thought, well, let's just, let's get in a room together and see what happens. And the moment we did, we wrote Second to Sun, which is the first song on the Jupiter album. And we knew right then, it's just me and Steve. When we get together, it's easy to write music together. We just understand the same language. And so that was it. And we started digging in. From there, that was 2009, and we got it released November 2010. Oh, we went out and we did a couple years touring on that album, and then 8 years went by, and all of a sudden, here we are, 2019, and getting ready to make a new record. We're working on ideas and everything. We have some big announcements coming in the future that we're excited about, and so while we're waiting, I thought I would, I asked our management whether we could do a few shows in South America because we had never been there. So they put those shows together and they went really well. And I guess Travis from Cattle saw that we were back out touring again. And so when they were putting this package together, he personally requested us to come out and do direct support, which is, a huge opportunity for us. So we are super grateful to Cattle Decapitation for, putting a band like Atheist on a tour like this, which really was a coveted position. They have a brand new album that's just monumental, and so it's really, really great to be here and have an opportunity to be direct support for this important time for them. And so here we are, and we're just out having a great time, and the shows are going so well. We got a brand new band. Yoav Ruiz Feingold is our new bass player, who I think a lot of people are going to be talking about. He's just a tremendous performer and player. He's 23 years old. He's a monster. And Anthony Medaglia is playing drums. And so what's happening is Steve Flynn is very much still in the band, still very involved, doesn't tour very much. So we've decided to come up with a new formula. So Anthony Medaglia is sort of the understudy to Steve Flynn. So he's going to be doing all the dates, and Steve will be doing the album. And some dates, like select dates. He'll be able to do some festival dates, but he doesn't tour that much. So it doesn't enable us to get out and support a record. So this new band is just tremendous, and they're playing this material better than it's ever been played. And so this enables us to be able to get out and tour and see everybody. That over 30 years that we've been together, we've really done just a very small amount of touring. So for the next 2 years, we're going to be up your ass. The best chapters of this book are about to come. And, we've had a tremendous story so far, and we thank everybody for 30 years. It's our 30th anniversary this year. And, we feel like really lucky guys, and we appreciate everybody, the new fans, the old fans. And, if you don't know Atheist and you're not familiar with their music, listen to it. It's each album is very different. And for all the people that have stuck with us for all this time, thank you. And we have some big plans for your ears. So thank you for everything. See you out on the road. Cheers.